A very good morning to you, Craft Yacht. I thought I'm going to start straight down on my mat today. I got so much to show you and so much to talk you through, I guess. We're going to be working with a lovely mesh today. Now, we already had a couple of videos for the mesh in the past. We did one where we showed you how to fill them, that you can use different beads. And then we had another video to do this lovely weave on the mesh, how to create a really effective front piece of necklace. The back part was a bracelet size, so you can wear it as a bracelet or you can wear it together as a necklace. So that was really fun as well. I love these one because especially in the summer or in the winter as well, I suppose if you're wearing turtlenecks, this gives you, really dresses you up, giving you something a little bit extra. And then we had all sorts of other, there's some other colorways of this one, but quite a few of you have done this one. It's just really lovely. I think it's a really lovely design, and it sits quite well on the neck as well. And I just got the turquoise one as well, so I'm just going to show you. So look back in the Facebook Lives on our website and you will find, I didn't check the date, but Simon, if you're there, because he's watching and doing the comments for me, can you just post him what was the date for the loop mesh? I think it was sometime in May. So moving on from that, there is loads of other designs you can do with it. Just sort of stepping back, you can fill it with beads, with larger beads. They look great as well. There is various different ends you can do. And today, what we're going to do, we're going to fill our mesh with these crystals. They are really, really sparkly. I'm not sure if the camera is picking it up quite well, but they are mega sparkly. So these resin crystals, they're made of resin, as it stands in the name. They haven't got any holes on them. They are little diamond shaped little resins, and I just really love them. There is so much you can do with them, and what I would like to show you today is how to do this twisted weave, which is quite nice. And if we get time, then I will show you how to do one of these little let's just grab another color. Let's grab a 2-color one so you can see it better. With smaller mesh, how to create a lovely sort of chain links with your mesh. That looks great as well. Let's grab a couple more. So you can see this is all in one color. That looks great as well. And I like the 2-color ones. So let's get started and we decide if we're going to do a 2-color or a 1-color one. I got a couple of them which is half finished here. So we will get going. So the resin, they come in, I think they're 35 gram bags on the website. However, they all 3 for 2 today. So buy 3 bags and you only pay for 2. Now 1 bag of resin, and I'm gonna, which color will show up the best? We're gonna grab it out of the bag. 1 bag of crystal will make you probably about 5 bracelets. So they do go a long way, because when you're filling the mesh up, this is a lovely color as well. When you're filling the mesh up, it doesn't take that much space. So there's $4.99 a bag. They're 3 for 2. So you get, for a tenner, you get 3 bags, which will make you about 15 bracelets. Let's just get the samples out of the way. So they're really nice. I'm gonna open this one just to show you how nice and sparkly are there. I really do. I do love them. I think I was a magpie in a previous life, because all I want to do, I just want to put these crystals, like spread it out on the table and just sit down and look at them. But look at the sparkle you get of these little resin crystals. They're just amazing. Let me just quickly say hello to everybody before we start making. Morning, Mandy, Diane, Dean. Does it go back further here? Yes. Cheryl, Chef, Lucy, Jan, Di, Francis, Sheila, Betty, Camille, Carol, Mercia, Jackie, Paula, Jean, Annie, Joe, Jane, Doris, Sharon, Carol, Debbie, Marilyn, Patricia, Patricia saying, morning Kitty and everyone. Sorry, can't stay off to visit a friend in Darlington. We'll watch later on, catch up. Oh, bless you. Have a lovely time with your friend. Morning, Alison, Annie, Girl, Camille, Betty. All right, so some of you saying you must have a lot of these to clear them. We do have some stock. However, we're getting new people in the Facebook Live all the time. So we are revisiting some of the techniques, what we did before, so everybody can see them and everybody can enjoy them. We're trying to do different takes on the techniques or different takes on the materials each time we're using them. Right, the mesh comes in 3 different sizes. So you got the 8mm, and it just went everywhere here for me. It is a tubular texture. It's hollow inside, and these little sort of fibers run across each other. It can expand and contract. Never measure your bracelet, never measure your necklace you want to do when it's empty, because it does stretch and then you might end up with a smaller bracelet what you want it to. Right, so we're gonna make a bracelet, a twisted bracelet with this one. So I'm gonna take about 70 centimeters of the mesh. I'm just gonna cut the other end. And all I'm gonna do, I can either bind this with a little piece of thread, just sort of bind it around, add a tiny bit of nail varnish or glue to the end just to hold my fibers together. Pop the glue here, but just get another one. So the glues you could use, E6000 is probably the best one, which is a jewellery glue. It dries overnight, so you do have to leave it there for quite some time to be, to dry completely. If you use a super glue, I like to use like gel glues, because they have got very similar properties to the E6000. They got sort of a little bit of a gel finish on them, but they dry really, really quick. And I haven't got... No, I haven't got the other little glue. So those are the 2 types I use most. Some people swear by like cement glue or anything like, different glues. Just use the one, but if you read on the back, it says what it can bind together, and it's good for plastic finishes as well. Gluing plastic to metal. So I'm just going to show you how to bind the end quickly. Because I'm using a black mesh there, I'm just going to take a black thread. This is just a piece of Superlon. It doesn't have to be this one, it could be any of them, anything you have at home, I guess. And all you need to do is just to bind them together. Equally, you could tie a little knot on there, but all I want to do is just to bind the end. I'm going to add a dash of glue on there so it holds it together. And I'm going to use the super glue today because I want it to dry quicker. Come on, come down. Should I put this upside down? So I'm going to have to bang on the table to get the glue down into the nozzle. There we go. Probably I squeezed it a little bit too much, so I'm just going to wipe a tiny bit off. And that's it, and we're good. Make sure you don't glue your fingers together. I do that all the time. Right, so we got about 35 centimeters of the mesh. Now I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to fill both of the tubes up with my crystals here. Now there is different ways you can fill up your crystals. You can use a little funnel from the kitchen if you have one. I didn't have a small enough. I did have a small funnel in the kitchen, but it's gone missing. Probably one of the children's used it and never returned it. There's other little things. I got this little scoop in my plier sets. This is quite easy to sort of scoop the beads up and just let them to go into my mesh there. If I push the end of the mesh, that slightly opens them up a little bit, and then I can push them down. I can equally use a little tube. So this is just a tube. I purchased beads in there before, so if you haven't got one of these scoops, not to worry. I'm just going to add some into this scoop, because with the tube you can squidge the end together to form a smaller hole what you need, and I'll just show you in a minute. Let me just load them all up, and that's it. So with the tube you can squeeze the end together to form more of a oval, I guess, a shape opening end, and then I can quite easily just sort of roll them in there. Now time to time you need to stop and just squeeze your mesh together so all those lovely crystals do roll down all the way to the end. So we want, for a 20 centimeter bracelet, you want about 25 centimeter of crystals inside there. But I'm gonna add a little bit more. We can always take away. You're only gonna temporarily fix the end. That's it. So I'm just keep making sure they go down, move down, just by squeezing them together. And as you can see, as I'm squeezing, they're moving slightly down, just like that. And there we go. And we got a nice and even finish. Maybe just a tiny bit more. That's it. That's be more than enough on this side. Now you can temporarily bind this end, so make sure they're nice and even, all the crystals sitting together. Just play with it a little bit until they all move down, sort of pushing it together. You can either bind this end temporarily with a piece of thread, just sort of binding it around. I have got these little clips, and I have used these clips before in plenty of different videos, so I'm just gonna add one of these clips on there at the end, just temporarily hold it. I'm probably gonna cut this shorter anyway, so I just want it there so it holds my crystals nice and tight. Now we need to add it into the other one. Now another way I can do it is I can pretty much pour it straight from the bag. Now when you're pouring straight from the bag, you are going to have some crystals sort of dropping down, so don't worry about that. You can scoop them up later. But if everything fills and you haven't got any tubes or any scoops or any funnels at home, you can use the bag, pushing it together, the two sides, and just sort of leaning it on the edge of the mesh and having them roll in there. So various different techniques you could do. You could also make a little funnel out of paper, or sort of a thicker paper or card could help you as well. It's really, you know, there is plenty of different things you could do to get your crystals in there. I'm just going to use the bag to continue. And just add a few more crystals. Sorry, I'm not ignoring your questions. I just sort of concentrating on this and I can't see it on my phone. But Simon is on here and he's answering any questions you have. Right, let me just tidy these up. I think we might have enough already. I love these little triangle shaped little trays as well. they're so useful when I do my beading, because I can scoop things up with it. I can lay them out on my mat with various different beads in there. I think they're 50p on the website, but invest in like 3 or 4 and then you got a nice little, yes, we got more than enough. So again, I'm going to make sure I'm going to take my beads right down to the end. And as you can see, as I'm pushing down, the crystals are moving down and I have a gap, which I don't want. Making sure they all go right down. And I'm going to take another clip and put this on this end. I think this one needs to be a little bit fatter, so I'm going to move these down a little bit more. And as I'm moving this together, I'm pressing together with my thumb and index finger here, making sure those crystals are rolled down and move together. So that's it. I'm going to take it all the way and put it out. Now, this is ever so easy. There is 2 ways you can create your twist, because if you just twisted it around, you're not going to have an even twist, and I guess your bracelet can twist apart. With the mesh, the sort of structure you have with it, it's really nice, and it holds its shape because it's sort of a little bit more solid. It's not as fluid as like a stitch bracelet or anything would be, but it's not hard like a bangle either. So I really love it, love the texture, what you get with it. So to have a lovely twisting with it, I'm not just going to twist the end to get the twist together. We need to get twist in each individual strands there as well. So you can either sort of hold the ends down, and I'm going to twist both of these tubes to the same direction. So I'm going to twist this to the right and this to the right at the same time. And when I'm twisting both, you can see that they are coming together on their own. They got this sort of own little tension, and you're going to have a nice little twist in there. Now, one other way you can do it is to put it down on your mat in front of you. I'm going to hold this end down with one hand, and I'm going to roll on the top of both of those. I think my mat is a little bit slippery, and then as the tension starts to become a little bit tighter, I've released this end and let it move around. So all I'm doing is got my hand firmly on one end and pushing both of them down slightly towards the table and twisting them up, and you can see we are having this really lovely twist come about on our bracelet again. Now this is really important because both of the mesh pieces needs to be twisted, and when we got to the end, and that's probably more than enough for me what I need. Don't forget, the clasp is going to give you a little bit of length, which I'm going to show you just in a second. So I actually, let me just pinch I bought a new ruler because I can't find mine, so I bought a new one. So I want this to be with the end glued in about 20 centimeter for myself. So I'm still holding on here with my hand. I'm gripping it together. I'm not letting it go, because I don't want the twist uncome. I'm gonna move it over to my other hand, and I'm gonna release these ends. Now if you bind it with a piece of thread, then I would still hold this together. I would just cut the ends off, release some of the tension from right here in the middle, pushing together with 2 of your fingers at the same time, so you're not letting it go. Then you get a little bit of sort of gap here in the crystals, then you want to take your thread and you're going to wind it around it to secure them together. But so far I'm not letting this go. If you got perhaps problem in your hands, or you're not really good at gripping things and holding them for a few minutes or longer period of times, however long it takes you to secure this end, then I can suggest to add a little bit of sellotape just around here, because you can take that off later on, or masking tape is even better because they're not as sticky, to temporarily hold your end together. But I just sort of do it as I go along. So I'm just gonna tweeze them out. I'm gonna cut my mesh, and as you can see, I can cut it just with a pair of scissors. There is nothing, you don't need any special cutters for it. It's really nice and easy to cut. And I'm still holding on to my end. I'm gonna take my thread and I'm gonna wind it around this end as well. You don't need much thread, you only need a little bit. Let's move it down a little bit so I get a nice and tight finish. Not letting the end go, just widening around. Now, depending on what end or what clasp you want to use, you might want to wind your thread a little bit more. I'm just going to add a dash of glue on here. I must get a new bottle because I think I'm right down to the end of this. Oh no, there we go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put the top back on and I'm going to leave it upside down. It's quite hard sometimes to put the top back on with one hand. That's it. And I'm going to leave it upside down just here. So when we need to use it again, it's going to be, the glue doesn't go back up. So that's it. I just added a little bit of glue there. I'm gonna trim the thread off and I'm gonna just slightly tidy up the ends. So I'm just gonna come down and cut it right next to my thread. This side we fold it over, but I'm gonna cut it right next to the thread as well, just to sort of make a nice and straight finish to end to my bracelet. So that's it, we created our little twist and we are ready to add the clasp. Now, adding the clasp, then you got so many different options. Let me just grab the bundle. We got a bundle on the website which used to be $14.99, but is $7.99 today. With this one you get so many different clasps in your kit that you can choose which one is the best suits your, and I'm going to show you, there's a crimp one and there is a gluing one, which one is the best to use. So let's use, you could use any of them. You could use the larger ones, just take this out, or you could use the smaller one as well. Don't forget that your mesh can expand and can contract as well. So you could either use a smaller clasp or you could use a larger clasp as well. Now, if I was going to use this clasp, I would then go back with my thread and keep winding it to around and around the end, so I fill up the gap there inside my clasp. Sometimes, let me just finish to show you a finished one. These are all magnetic ones. Sometimes it's better to use a larger clasp depending on your design. I'm just turned around, and sometimes it's nicer to use which one has got like a nice little skinny clasp at the end. No, that's the same size. Oh, like if you look at this one is I pinched ends together and used a smaller clasp, but then on the other side I used a larger clasp for the bracelet. So it's really, it's up to you that what size of clasp, what decoration. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different ones on the website, so you could choose whichever you like. And there is also a crimping method using these lovely little crimps. This is really easy. There is no glue needed with this one. And I'm just looking for a bracelet with them on. There we go. No glue needed. You just crimp the ends in. I'll show you how to do this in a second as well. So once you've chosen your clasp and you know which one you want to add them into, I think I'm going to go for the smaller one. I then would go and try the end in. If it sticks out too much, which like there it does, and I really need the clasp further down, I'm going to take another little piece of thread and make a little bind further down on my end. Now, as you can see, I used the super glue on this, and the end, the glue turned white. So that's why it's better to use a jewellery glue, because that will, when it dries, it will dry clear. So what I'm doing, I'm repeating the end, winding around just a little bit further in, so I can then cut this end off, trim it, and have a really nice finish. So again, let's just go around a few more times. And just add a tiny bit of glue here at the end. Come add glue. Sorry, I'm keep having to knock on the end to get some glue down. That's it. And just leave that there. And I'm not going to cut my thread off because I want to build it up a little bit more. So I'm just going to go in and cut the end. Now, because there is glue on there and the glue is dried, so this end is going to be a little bit harder and harder to cut with scissors. So I'm just going to use my cutters and trim the end right down. That's it. And now if I try it into the end of my tube, you can see it will go up right against the beads themselves, just giving you a nicer and neater finish. Just by doing that, you're going to have a more professional finish, I guess. So it's always worth to work a little bit more on your ends, how to attach the clasp. Now this is still a little bit bigger than what my thread is there, so I'm just going to keep taking this thread and winding it around just to create a larger size of little stubby end there, what I can stick into the clasp. You can still stop and check it. I need a few more rounds. Again, if you have to build this up quite a bit, I like to stop time to time and just add a tiny bit of glue on the top to bind those threads together, and then keep going and adding a few more rounds. Lorna is asking question, when the bracelet is made up, could you stitch bead or lucite flowers to it so it twists to make like a pretty floral garden effect? In theory you could. I never tried it. If you do have a go, please post a picture of us, because I would be really interested to see it. You would have to go right through it, so I'm almost there. I just need a few more sort of wrapping around to get the right size. Bear in mind that the mesh is strong, but it's only strong because this has got many strands of little thin acrylic sort of lining strings. They're woven together, so it's only strong when they're together. So if you want to stitch something to it, don't just stitch it to one particular strand, try to sort of stitch it to quite a few of them. But if you pinch it, it might open up the sort of the pattern on there, and you might end up things falling out of it. Do try it. I never tried it to attach anything to it, but if you have a go, please post a picture because I love to see it. Right, I think we must be about there. A couple more. So when I just tried to end on now, I can feel that the thread was rubbing on the side of my clasp. Yeah, one more, couple more, one more go, I think. Yeah, that's it. So when you put the end on, and it sort of stays on there, and even if I turn it upside down, it's not going to fall off. That's the right size. If you have to push this on there and push it on really hard, then you got too much thread on there. And quite simply, what I am going to do now is open up my glue again, add a dash of glue to the end, and I'm going to add it sort of more on the bottom of it. And quite simply, I'm just going to take my end clasp and push it in. I think I added a tiny bit too much glue because it just sort of came over on the end of it. I meant to bring down some cotton wool buds from upstairs. Actually, I think I got some in my handbag, because when you're working with glue, they are really handy to have, or toothpicks, stuff like that. But I love cotton wool bud because if you go over with the glue, you can just sort of wipe it around it. The cotton wool will stick, sort of soak the glue up, but you have to do this quite quickly, otherwise it gets it sticks to it. So just clean your end up so you get a nice and professional finish. And that's it. That's how easy it is to add your end. And now I'm just going to trim the thread off because I don't want any thread showing off. It is worth to match your thread to the color of your mesh, because now, even though you can see there is a bunch of threads woven around in there, because it's the same color, you're not going to see it, and you get a nice and professional finish. And you can repeat, you will repeat this the same on the other side as well. I would, again, I think this is quite, let me just open this up because I don't want to pull this end too much at the moment, just in case, until the glue dries. So trying the other end here again, as you can see, my little stub at the end is still too long, so I need to trim this down. I'm going to take some thread, wind it closer to the crystals, cut the end again, build it up, and then add the end on it. So that's how you finish your bracelet. And you know, you can, the crystals come in many different colors, so you could even play with it to do one in one color and fill the other mesh with a different color. The possibilities are endless, but I just love how they all sparkle. So that's it for that one. Let me just show you. There is two sizes of the crystals, and I'm just gonna find two of the same color. Let's have a look at these ones, and I'm going to open these for you. So there is one which is 2mm, which is this one, and there is a 4mm one as well. So if you're using the 8mm mesh, which is larger mesh, you can use both sides of the crystals quite easily. If you're using the smaller mesh, the 4mm mesh, which is this, we created this sort of pattern with, you do need the smaller crystal, because a larger crystal just sits. I just broken the bag, so I'm just going to bring this up close to you. And I just get these rogue little crystals out. That's it. So I'm just going to bring it up close to you so you can see the different sizes there. So this one is 2mm and this one is 4mm. So the 2mm and the 4mm works perfect with the 8mm mesh. If you want to do the smaller one, even in one color or two color, this is a 4mm mesh. You need to use the 2mm crystals with it, because the mesh is 4mm, so the inside of it is a little bit smaller, and if you stuff larger crystals in there, it will just sort of bulge out and not gonna be as nice. You need the small crystal. There's many different. I've got so much samples. I could just sit here for half an hour and show you all the samples. There's so much you can do with it. If you have got any large hole beads, you could create like little sausages, I guess, on your necklaces. You could, let me just move this out. I made this, sorry, wobbling camera. I made this by starting one end. I did three little pearls on a tiger tail. Now you don't need a tiger tail to hold your necklace up at all because it's really nice and strong. But what I wanted to achieve there is to not see any of the holes on the tiger tail. So not see any of the holes on the beads. So it's the tiger tail, just keeping them nice and straight. So I just added 3 beads on the tiger tail, added a crimp on either side, and then in it went in my mesh. And then I added a little, this is the 16mm mesh, this is the thickest one. Then I added a little sort of sausage size crystals, and without adding any beads to it, I added a large hole beads on the outside of the mesh. Then I added another little section, a large hole bead on the outside of the mesh, and another little section, and so along all the way. I got some Tibetan beads here actually, which got larger holes. Just show you. So if you add something inside it, these are hanger beads, by the way. Actually, they would look perfect on your necklace, because if you add one of these in the middle of it, you then could hang a little charm or a little pendant on that little loop at the bottom. So imagine adding some beads in your mesh. Then I would push them together and put it through one of these large hole beads, and this would just sit on the outside of it, and then you could add more beads on the other side of your mesh as well. Now if you add in different color bead mesh in there, or different color beads or seed beads or anything you use, I'm not sure actually, I bought that sample home, I don't think so, but if your little sort of sausage is going to be a different color, because these crystals come in so many different colors that you could, you know, you could create an ombre effect or a rainbow effect with it. So if you're going to add different color crystals, I find it's not enough just to add this bead on the top, because as you can see, the hole is still sort of free inside that mesh. I don't know how much as the camera picks it up, but the beads can travel between the two little sausages if they both are mesh. Oh, this one is, oh look, this one is all crystals. So if both of them are crystals, imagine that one of these are different colors. You need to bind the underneath your bead, your large hole bead, you need to bind the mesh together so the crystals can't travel between your little sausages, and you could create nice and rainbow effects or ombre effects, anything really you wanted to do. So you could do so much with your necklaces, so much with your bracelet. It's just really, really nice and sparkling. I think I was definitely a magpie in a previous life. I just need to finish this off. I made this sample yesterday, but actually we finished that bracelet. I was a magpie in a previous life, because I want to bring all these crystals home. I just want to put them down on the table, and I'm just going to sit there and keep looking at them. Right, so other effects you could do. This is, actually this clasp is in your, in that clasp bundle for Wonder Tube. This is sort of got 3 holes, and let me just grab it from here. It's got 3 holes, and you can just sort of glue loads of different strands in there as you go along. Now this one is just using the smaller mesh, the 4mm mesh, and I filled it, some of them I filled it with crystals, some of them I filled it with seed beads, and just glued in this triple clasp in there, and it really creates a lovely effect when you're wearing them. I'll turn the camera around in a second, and I'll show you that I really do love like something like this if you're going out in the evening, or you know, especially in the summer you could wear larger necklaces. In the winter you can wear it on the top of your third necklace. It's a really nice statement piece as well. And then you could play around with the mesh even more, creating all sorts of different textures. You could leave some without beads at the top. This one again is a large hole. It's sort of like a connector bead because it's a figure of 8. I haven't got any with me here, just on its own, but they are click section as well. So Simon, if you're watching, do give us a link because they are really great to use with mesh or other project as well. They're just holding it, pinching your mesh together. This started off as 2 sort of separate little length of mesh. On each side I got 3 different mesh doubled over, and just some of them I added crystals, some of them I added beads, some of them I added seed beads. But as you can see, you can create a lovely look with just sort of minimal materials. I think I used a couple of strands of the glass pearls in there, maybe about 40 grams of seed beads, and a bag of the crystals themselves. So that's one. And then playing with it even more, I created a different look where they were sitting sort of towards the bottom. Again, I started off with 3 different lengths. You got crystals, seed beads and crystals, but you could, this is the beauty of it, you could add anything inside your mesh. Well, obviously not like a sand or anything like that, but you could add things to your mesh what you know, want to keep safe. Or sequins is a really good one, and I had a sample here, but I didn't again, I didn't bring it home. We got so much samples of this one because enjoy creating with this. Again, you could add larger beads in there. This one is on a piece of tiger tail, so the beads don't roll around, don't move around, and they always sit nice and straight. So do have a go. Whatever you do post pictures up because I love to see. I'm just looking if I got a different sample, but very quickly yesterday just grabbed some I just grabbed some at work to bring it home to show it to you. So you could do so many different things. I love this one. This is one of my favorites, and I have worn this quite a few times. This one is with larger pearls, 12mm pearls, the larger mesh going all the way around, and sort of just introduced an 8mm and a 4mm, and underneath this bead cap they all woven together. Then I added this bead cap on the top of it, so it just hides that connection, and carried on with the beads all the way to the top. But you know, so many different effects you can have with it. I just love the quickness, how quick you can make a jewellery with it. And let me just turn you around. How quick you can make jewellery with it. You know, within, and I'm gonna show you and put that on how quick you can just pour the seed beads in there. So when we're doing some of our intricate weaving, so if I pop this on, you can see I made it a little bit longer, but it just sits really nicely on your neck. In the winter you can wear this with a nice turtleneck, and it just gives you a nice decoration. And I want to show you the other one, this multi one, because I love this so much. That these are just loads and loads of strands of the 4mm ones. Let me just grab, and again, oh, my hair got in the way. I decided I'm going to grow my hair now, so I'm trying to, one day I'll wear it down and next day I sort of wear it up because it gets a little bit annoying. So that's it. So we probably you could make it a little bit longer as well. So again, the side you could twist it, so before you close the clasp, and I should have done that, before you close the clasp you could twist the necklace itself to create a nice and twisted look as well. So really just play around with it, I just really love it because it's such a quick way to make any necklaces or any jewellery. Like this one is a little bit longer. I'll pop this one on for you. Creating very different looks. See? Has anybody got any questions? You know, and this one is sort of a more dressing up one up as well. Would be really nice with those little bits of connectors, but it's up to you. And now let me show you this one. You can be a little bit artistic with these crystals and the mesh itself. So just sit nicely, oops, on your neck. I'm not gonna close it all up, but it would sit really nicely. So do have a go. No matter which one you do, I want to show you the loop mesh, because this is my faves. I'll show you the loop mesh. So this one, how we did it, we did a bracelet size at the back, and we did a necklace size, sort of a necklace infill at the front, and my clasp is at the sort of the front, but I don't mind it being in the front because they on both sides, and they're just sort of they're gonna look nice. And again, you get a nice sort of a thinner at the back and a nice little feature piece at the front. I love that one as well. So do check out, have a look. Now on the website we got various different deals. We got a mesh bundle where you get 40 meters of tubing, all sorts of different colors, not just different colors but different sizes as well, and that is $12.99. Now this would be enough for, I don't know, loads of bracelets and necklaces, because there's just so much in there, and you got all sorts of mixed colors as well, so you could use they are really good. They are great pack to offer. I don't know how many we got left because we had this pre-made, so I'm not sure how many we got left, but do have a look and have a go at this one. You could include children, grandchildren in a make as well, because it's really nice and easy, especially like the little seed bead ones. If you got like really old cheapy seed beads at home, what you don't know what to use for, or if you haven't used, grab the mesh and you can fill the mesh just up with seed beads and it will still look really, really great. I hope you enjoyed today. I love this. I love this technique, and just sort of could create loads of different bits of pieces with it. Really easy to make statement pieces. So if I wanted to stitch something together and make like this, it would take me hours. Probably a necklace like this would take me from start to finish maybe like 20 minutes. So it's a really nice and quick way to do your jewelry, but you could do all sorts of different things as well with it. The crystals are just so sparkly. Don't forget, we got, I think, about 15 different colors in them, and they all 3 for 2 at the moment on the website. So onto stock last. Some of the colors we have got more, some of the colors we have got less. And let me just grab some more colors out of my box. I love this auburn. And then you got your tealy color. And you got your greens and golds. They will be perfect for Christmas parties, because you really want to dress up. If you do go for Christmas parties, hopefully we'll be allowed parties by then. There's this Montana blue. I love this one as well. Again, this is sort of like a black diamond color. You got your golds, you got loads, and then the peachy color, what I had out of the bag as well, is really nice as well. But don't forget, once you add your crystals or seed beads or anything inside the mesh, depending on what color is the mesh, you can slightly change the outcome. So if you're adding something darker beads in a lighter mesh, and you're not really going to see the light or the dark color, you're going to see sort of a something between, which looks really, really great. Right, thank you very much, my lovelies. Do enjoy your weekend. Sarah's going to be with you tomorrow. I think she is working with lucite leaves and flowers and bits of pieces, so that I think that's going to be a great one to watch. And she will be with you Monday and Tuesday, I think. I haven't got my diary in front of me. I'll be back sometime next week. I'm going to have a weekend off. I'm going to have a nice lay-in tomorrow, and just you know, have a day off. But I will still be on here, don't worry. I still come and do the comments because I can't keep myself away. If you got any questions, you can always message us. Doris is saying, bye Kitty, got these mesh in the USB bundle, but not made them, will do now. Yeah, do have a go, do post the picture up, whatever you do. I'd love to see you, what you're making. I think it's a USB one. We did quite a big bundle of mesh to giving you all sorts of different inspiration and different ideas, what you can do with them. But you can do so much. It's just really nice to play with and really, you know, just do whatever you like with them, just whatever pattern. There is no right or wrong here. You don't have to count beads, you don't have to, you know, measure things. Oh, one thing, if you want to do the sausagey look, what I did, which I forgot to mention, that it does really look very good when your sausages are exactly the same size all the way along. And you can't really measure with the mesh itself, because as you can see, this is sort of expands and gets smaller as well. So what I did with the sausage ones is that I measured out, I think they were 5 grams each. I got the kitchen scales out and I just measured exactly the same amount into each one of those little sort of holders. If you haven't got a scale which can measure down to really a sort of small amount, the other thing you could do, if you got one of these plastic tubes, just sort of cut it to a size, because you can cut these with sort of stronger scissors. So cut it to a size, make a little scoop where you can scoop up the same amount of beads every single time, so you create the same little sausages on your necklace. So that's it for me today. Bye everybody, have a lovely weekend, have a lovely day. Hope the sun comes out where you are, and I will see you next week. I'll be on tomorrow behind the scenes while Sarah's doing the video. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.